And I'm working now occasionally for PricewaterhouseCoopers. It may interest you to know that PwC, the kind of cold, starchy accountancy kind of group, they've now got 500 people whose job description is sustainability. There are 80 full-time staff in London whose sole job is climate change and sustainability. And everything that PwC does and everything that their clients do in the private sector is changing around what they measure, how they measure it, around how they value companies, advising on their supply chains. Are they rewarding their own staff, and are they rewarding their clients? Are their clients rewarding their staff for the correct sort of behavior to lead to a sustainable business? So the challenge for care in all this. The first thing is unchanged. You look through a lens which is about impact on the poor and the poorest, and that lens is critically important and needs to stay. You have a foot in each camp. You sit in, or the care organizations themselves, sit in the rich countries of the world and have outlets and understanding in the poorest countries of the world. The kind of issues I've outlined will need change in both those places. We've traditionally not operated or not done things at home. The behavior change needed in our home countries, in our head office countries, will need to be just as profound, if not more, than those in the poorest countries if we're going to reduce the impact of climate change, particularly on the poorest. Environment is inextricably linked with poverty, and I think one does not think anymore of, or at least I try not to think of, an environment organization and a poverty organization. I do not think those things are distinguishable these days. We need global initiatives as well as local initiatives, not either or, it's both, and care, you are a foot in each camp. You have, I think, to put your heads together and think through who does what best. What is it that you do best? What is it that the state can and should do best? What is it that the market can and should do best? We know it does some things really badly. We know it does some things really well. What are those things? Partnership's been used a lot so far. Partnership, probably the most abused word in the English language. Covers all sorts of range of activities, from pure contracting to genuine partnership, which is fantastic. Genuine partnership that is fantastic is also challenging and hard, and it doesn't often pay its way. It's worth the effort, though. It's vitally important. We're going to need to communicate better. We're going to need to communicate better internally and with organizations with whom we wish to work. And I think to recognize the scale of the problem and care's role within it. We are big, but we are not big at the same time. So, conclusion. I think there are plenty of people still who question the motives of private sector companies and these shifts in role and function. Cynical ploy. We've watched greenwash. We've seen what happened when the environmental movement started to kick up. Companies did what they needed to do. But I do think this feels different. Fact, we have one planet. Fact, we're using 1.4 of them. Basic maths, I'm not a mathematician, but we're overstepping it. We're eating into the capital. We should be living off the interest. Fact, we're about to add 2.5 billion more people to this planet, and they're all going to be poor. Fact, there are countries in the world already using more water than falls naturally every year. Fact, if you are born as a young child in Kenya, what you aspire to be is a Wabenzi. Swahili has got a fantastic word. Wabenzi means the people of the Benz, the Mercedes-Benz. The aspiration around the world is to own that Mercedes-Benz. That will destroy us. It's understandable, but it will destroy us. There are a whole lot of issues being raised about growth. What kind of growth, how much, and for how long? Growth that leaves people out is unacceptable and unsustainable. The growth of inequality has been one of the most depressing bits of the last 5 to 10 years. The role of the private sector is part of the solution, unquestionably. Innovation, technology, communication, they're all vital roles. They are not the solution. I absolutely have to state that. They are looking for assistance, they are looking for help. Some of it will be cynical. Some of it will be the wrong kind of partnership on offer. We're going to need to work that out. Paul Collier, in his book, The Bottom Billion, which you may have seen, talks about the opportunities for Africa in particular in terms of growing those economies by using the global market and cheap labor and adding value to products. That's a macro view. It doesn't necessarily chime true with everybody, but the fact remains the global market, for as long as it exists, offers opportunities. At the same time, there's plenty of opportunity to get things wrong. The Ford Motor Company built a lovely factory in Dearborn, where, with a great grass roof, beautiful bird's nest in the roof, marvelous thing, cost them a lot of money, and underneath it they built SUVs. And they said, please don't stop us making SUVs, because that's our business, that's how we make our money. There's a real danger about organizations that go halfway, that have the window dressing right, but don't have the content right. So is it a threat that the private sector is starting to park its tanks on CARE's lawn? Is it a real threat, or is it additional firepower that we can and should be trying to use to harness to make sure that the impacts are enjoyed and felt by the poorest? Where is our leverage? I've always thought of CARE and the NGO world as being like a little judo player. Now, I'm not a judo player, but my understanding of judo is that you use the weight of your opponent to achieve your objective. You need good technique. You need to be smart. You punch above your weight. They're all slightly aggressive examples, so I apologize for that. But there's something about being smart. CARE is big, but CARE is a tadpole when it comes to the big issues as well. So a few questions for CARE as a judo player. Who does what best? Have you thought that through? Have you worked out where the biggest change can be made? What can CARE do to maximize its impact? To ensure that growth has a human face and respects the planet? Who are you going to do it with and why? Be selective. Are you going to wait until the donors ask you to do it for them, or are you going to do it anyway because it's the right thing to do? You have a global vision. You're a global organization. I'm hugely proud to have been involved with you, and I look forward to working with you in the years ahead to try to achieve that goal. Thank you very much.